Well, a very good evening to all our viewers and people who are watching us from across this country. And a very good morning to our friends and alumni and people watching us from all across in the western part of this earth, beautiful planet. Also, a very good evening to the founders of the VIBGYOR group of schools, Mr. Rustam Kerawala and Ms. Kavita Kerawala, the principals of the group schools across the country, faculty members, parents, and most importantly, our students who have joined us and continue to join us from across the country. It's such a pleasure to invite and welcome each one of you. I know today is the day where the CBSE results for grade 10 also is released. And my best wishes to all of our students from not just the VIBGYOR group, but from the different schools across the country. And may you have a wonderful result and a great life ahead. Having said that, I'm Shim Mathew, the Director for Academic Operations and International Partnerships for the VIBGYOR group. And it's my pleasure to welcome each one of you to Career Mirror 2.0, a platform that continues to evolve with our students' aspirations. What began as a bridge between school and the professional world has now grown into a space for deeper insights, meaningful conversations, and real guidance from our alumni. We have a great panel of alumni this evening with us, and to introduce them and to bring them to the fore and to welcome each one of us, I'll call upon the principal of our flagship school, Ms. Mamta Shukla, to deliver the welcome address. Ms. Mamta.
Good evening, everyone. It is truly a pleasure to welcome all of you to Career Mirror 2.0. This platform reflects our commitment to guiding students beyond academics, helping them make informed choices, make confident career choices. Today's session is especially meaningful because it brings you closer to those who once sat where you are sitting today, and that's our alumni who have navigated their journeys and are here to share their honest insights, challenges, and most importantly, their learnings in life. I encourage all our students to listen actively, ask questions, and make the most of this opportunity. Wishing you all an insightful and inspiring session ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mamta. And as you lead the flagship school of our group, about which I have very long-lasting memories, and we shall listen to the student from that specific school, which started more than 20 years back. And he's with us this evening. And even as we begin this, I'd like to inform everyone who's watching us, especially parents and students, that if you have questions, please feel free to put them on the YouTube chat. We'll pick up those questions and send them to our alumni to answer those questions in due time. So do not forget to raise questions in the chat on the YouTube channel. Now, Career Mirror is a testament to a commitment to your future, to our students' future, supported by our partner, Univariety, a platform that connects our global alumni network. It also ensures that our students have access to real-world guidance from those who have walked the same path. Now, even as I begin introducing the alumni who have joined us from different parts of India, and also one gentleman from the United States of America, from the flagship school, Vedant Khandelwal, from the class of 2015. Vedant was my student. I remember him as a very young boy, now of course transformed into a fine young man. He completed his schooling at VIBGYOR High, Goregaon West in Mumbai, a chartered accountant by qualification. He has experience in taxation and restructuring and is currently pursuing his MBA at the famous Cornell University in the USA. He'll be joining the MA and practice in New York. So Vedant, I want to ask the first question to you. I know you're sitting in a different time zone, but really grateful to you for being there up in the morning in that part of the continent. What was the defining moment, if you could let us know, during your school years, because you play with numbers, right? So during your school years, what was the defining moment that sparked your interest in finance, which is so important for everyone who is watching us today? Go ahead, Vedant.
Sure. Thank you so much, first of all, for that introduction. It is an honor to be here among this esteemed panel. I just have a page that if I can share my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Vedant, it is. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks. So, a very valid question. And I was thinking this through from the lens of a 14, 15-year-old who's probably trying to figure out what they want to do. And I'll start off this answer with this picture that I have just by the side, with Shim sir. This is from 2015, January of 2015. This was our convocation, and it was a pleasure to be there. And this picture sort of sums up what VIBGYOR meant. It was not just an academic building for us, but more of a place where we could seek mentorship and ask questions freely. And that's why I say I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 15 years old. Right, I was a science, math, computer application student, scored almost perfect in these subjects, and so naturally, finance or commerce or accounting did not cross my mind. But what stood out was the freedom I had to ask questions because I was inclined towards math and computer science. I asked my teachers, the HODs in the schools, about what it is that I could become if I chose to pursue these subjects, or what are some alternatives where I could put my mathematical inclination to good use. And because of asking these kind of questions, uh, I gathered a lot of advice from people in different fields, and that is how I made my decision. So takeaway, it's okay not to know. Ask great questions, ask questions to the right people, ask a lot of questions, listen to everyone, and then pursue whatever genuinely excites you. I think that's it from me.
Great. Thank you, Vedant. That kind of sums up, which is kind of a gray space for many students, and sometimes as parents, and sometimes even as teachers. We insist that a student takes up a specific path. But as you rightly mentioned, the confusion and chaos sometimes play a role in clarity, that finally moves into clarity in terms of what you wish to do. And I think that's what worked for you. And I think that's what will work for many who are watching us this evening. Thank you for the clarity in terms of what you just mentioned. Next up, we have one of our students from our flagship school in the South, actually. She's Ria Desai from the VIBGYOR High Marthali School in Bengaluru. Ria currently works as an HR business partner at Accenture, and she's pursued her post-graduation at XLRI Jamshedpur. She's someone also who takes a lot of interest in music, especially Indian classical music, and she's done a degree in that, as well as Western music. That brings in a very a complete personality in one of our alumni. So I will welcome Ria. Ria, the question to you is, what was one experience at school that had a huge impact on what finally made you what possibly you are today, but could transform into somebody else tomorrow? So could you share that with us?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Shimson, to the entire panel. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to be able to give back to an institute that I have such fond memories of and great things to say about. I'll just probably share my screen. You can just let me know once it's visible.
Yes, Ria, it is visible. You can go ahead.
Sure. So I'll just probably just take a small trip down memory lane. So like you said, so I've studied at VIBGYOR High Marthali. I was there for 5 years. I joined in the 6th grade in 2013 and graduated in the 10th grade in 2018. So I tried to scrummage and try to find a couple of pictures. My first picture would be, I think, of my ID card, right? Picture number 1. what I really like about VIBGYOR is that they've always been able to, as a school, it's always placed an equal amount of importance towards extracurriculars as well as academics, right? And unfortunately, unlike Vedant, I was not really a topper. I wasn't a class topper, but I did consider myself an all-rounder. And of course, my academics were very, very important to me. I wasn't particularly very sporty, but I absolutely adore the performing arts. So if you can see picture number 3, I represented VIBGYOR at the NIE SAPA Geet Sangeet competition in Bangalore. But if there was one particular experience, right, at VIBGYOR that had the biggest impact on me, it would probably be the VH months or the VIBGYOR High Model United Nations. So if you can see pictures number 5 and 6, 5 especially, you can see a very nervous me at my very first VH Mon. At the time, this was held in Mumbai. That's at a Hyatt, if I'm not wrong. So I think just the entire experience of lobbying, researching about the country that you're allotted, that you're representing, organizing your thoughts, forming groups, selling a certain concept, trying to convince a group of people about a way of thought, right? I think that was the closest experience I've had to a corporate world, right? And I would say that where it really influenced me was my career of choice. So I'll just take a quick snapshot of my journey from VIBGYOR till where I am today. So like I said, I followed the ICSE curriculum. I had chosen science with math and art at the time because I was very sure that I wouldn't take computer applications. And I was very sure that I would get into a very pure design field, a design industry, right? Whether it was graphic design or fashion design. And that thought continued till the 11th and 12th grade. I changed schools then because the school that I joined, Dean's, it offered design as a subject. Right. But to answer the second part of your question, so which was which part of VIBGYOR created the most impact, it would be the VH1 because at the time, and I was so confused, right? And I completely wholeheartedly agree with Vedant when he said that it's very normal to be confused. It's very normal to be, to not really have a clear idea of what exactly you want to do. So it was really the VH months. I'd gone ahead and participated in many more at Dean's, and it really made me realize that I gravitate towards a management degree, which is what I pursued at Christ. I pursued a BBA honors, and that's my answer to that question.
Great. Thank you, Ria. I think you mentioned way back the 7th edition of the VIBGYOR Model United Nations Conference, which has gone on to become one of India's largest MEN conferences conducted by a school group. It definitely played a role. And from there, understanding what the nuances of a corporate life could be, and today being a business, a partner, the HR BP at a multinational, you've come a long way. And I think you've set a good example for many young students after you who continue to pursue and have a lot of passion understanding diplomacy. Great, very well answered. And thank you for giving us the clarity that things could keep evolving and keep changing even as you pursue your career paths. Thank you for that, Ria. Now we'll go on to the next alum on the screen. As I mentioned to you, today we have the third alum who was also part of the flagship school of ours in Pune, and he's Parthapratim Chatterjee from the VIBGYOR High NIBM at Pune. So welcome, Parthapratim, and I'll like to call you Partha if you're fine with it. So great to have you on board. And just to let everybody know, Partha is an alumnus of VIBGYOR High NIBM in Pune, and he went on to pursue his B.Tech from IIT at Kanpur, and currently works as a machine learning engineer at Groww. So, Partha, could you let us know what was that defining moment, maybe a key moment in school that shaped your interest and moved you towards technology, and obviously into something as we call solving problems or problem-solving experiences. Could you elaborate on that part?
Yeah, thank you for that introduction. I have a really great honor to be on the screen. So you can obviously call me Parth because it's easier to call. So 1 second, just share my screen. So is my screen visible?
Yes, it is, Parth. You can go ahead.
So really, VIBGYOR was. I still feel very nostalgic whenever I visit Pune. So I was there in VIBGYOR since second grade till 10th grade. So almost 8 years of my childhood was in VIBGYOR, and it played a really great part in shaping my academic in the early years itself. So one thing was that really stood out was the teachers were very supportive. I still remember in maths we had Farida ma'am and Nitin sir who were really great in their way of teaching. They always taught not to learn things and understand and then apply those in various problems. So that was something which stayed with me throughout my life. So, and being in a problem solving field, you need to have this approach. So, these small things really matter in the long run. Other than that, as Ria also mentioned, that VIBGYOR had a great experience in providing us co-curricular activities. I was also involved in cricket and swimming for the school. Uh, Swimming was something which I was introduced in VIBGYOR itself. So that was another interesting thing. Other than that, these are some photos which I could find from my fourth grade, eighth grade, and my ninth grade. So these felt really nostalgic while making this PPT as well. So that's it from my side.
Thank you, Parth. Very interesting to note that you continue to cherish the memories of your times, the time that you spent in school. Obviously, they are going to be some of the best moments for most of us and our remembering of friends and teachers. And you specifically mentioned about two teachers. I think one is Miss Farida and Miss Nitin, right?
Yes.
I do not know where they are, but if they're watching you today, they'll be so happy and glad to know that a student of theirs remembers how they took care of him and how they taught him while he was very young in school, because these are the very formative years when we need that kind of assistance and help from adults and people who can mentor and guide us. I'm so happy for you, and continue to solve problems the way you think it is right for all of us, and works well for humanity. Thank you, Parth. Having said that, I'll now have more questions for all the three of you, and I think I'll come to each one of you one by one. So to Vedant, my next question to Vedant is, this has got to do, the second part is more to do with the careers that you've chosen, right? So it'll be great to find some input, some insights that our young students who are watching you today, and some parents who are also, many parents who are watching you all, would be able to then understand what was the kind of, the path that you took. So Vedant, you also would be working or working at an M&A in the US, right? What kind of problems do you see that you come across, and maybe how do you solve them? It may not be easy for you to put that in a very short time, but if you could very, in a crisp manner, tell us what kind of problems that you see and enjoy solving.
Sure, sure. So let's, I just want to make it as easy as possible to understand. CEOs essentially earn money basis what profit they generate for the company, right? And most companies, they'll sell products, right? There'll be some cost, remaining is profit. That's how CEOs earn their money. There comes a life in the life of a company, a stage where they reach a plateau where they can't go beyond certain numbers. And so that at that stage, CEOs generally think, what if we buy another company? So that's how we augment our profits. That is essentially what M&A is, mergers and acquisition. And the in simple words, that's how I would explain M&A. And looking at what the current scenario is, IPL is going on, and so I just picked up a few deals that I thought could be of relevance over here. So we know the Royal Challengers Bangalore got sold, and so these are the kind of questions we help CEOs or owners answer: is whether we should buy a company, if yes, which company to buy, at what price, when's the right time to buy it, and is it a good deal or not? Is it going to augment our profits? There's going to be cultural differences between two companies. Is it worth trying to bridge them, or it's a dead cause? And like that, you'll see a lot of these deals on the screen where Hamleys got sold to Reliance, uh, Haldiram's brand got sold to another company, and so this is what we do on daily basis, trying to evaluate companies to be bought and sold, and at what price.
Great, Vedant. So that's a lot of application of thought, because you're dealing with you know pretty large sum of money, and that takes a lot of. Sometimes it's also a calculated risk. There is foresight involved. You have to plan, keeping in mind that at the end of the day, the companies would look for those profits, which is a natural thing to discuss in the world of business. So good to know that you would be there to assist students who may want to reach out to you. That how do CEOs crack such deals? Keeping in mind, and you especially mentioned the IPL. I do not know if you even have the time to watch any of those matches currently being played. But nonetheless, thank you for that input. And
Thank you so much, sir.
thank you. Before I move on to Ria, I just want to let everyone know that if you're putting your questions up on the YouTube chat, do mention which part of the country you're from, which school, if you possibly can, what's your name, and who you're addressing this question to. Is it to Vedant, or is it to Ria, or is it to Parth? So they can answer those questions accordingly. But feel free to raise and put your questions on the chat on YouTube, but do address to who you wish to answer this question. And also, it'll be great to know which school you're from and which location, whether it's Bengaluru or Mumbai or any other part of the country that you're from. Do that, please. So to Ria, so you are you're actually entrenched in the HR, BP partner role that you play. Many may not even understand what does the HR BP partner mean. What part of your role, and what's it all about? And how do you find that this really creates an impact? Because many would not even know who an HR BP or business partners. Please go ahead, Ria.
Thank you for asking that question, sir. So while I bring up my screen, I think one thing that I would want to clarify, because a lot of people, they usually tell me as to, Ria, you're so young. How have you already become a partner? Right. So just to clarify, an HR business partner would refer to the action. So we are partnering with business stakeholders to help them and their employees align themselves, the work that they do with the organization's broader goal. Right. So HR is it's actually a very wide field, right? And I think the bigger the organization, the more you work in silos. But again, there is recruitment, there is talent acquisition, and it really branches out, right? So coming to what exactly I do. So as I'm an HR business partner for people in tech, right? So a day in my life, a day in a week rather, would look like I work mostly with the senior leadership at Accenture in tech, and whether it is conflict management, right? An HR business partner is, always has to be a neutral ground, because we try to listen to both parties and come to a common consensus that satisfies both of them according to the situation. It's a role that goes beyond much more than just answering people's questions, right? There's a lot of strategy involved where we actually advise, the business on how they can maybe manage their talent, retain their talent, recognize the right talent, right? So I work a lot on Excel. I would say, so for example, managing attrition, right? So it's not just retaining our key talent, but to also understand the data. What exactly is the data saying to you? So just for example, right, if there is a sudden pattern or a sudden surge at a career level, right? So it's our job to actually have connections with these people We have focus group discussions, one-on-ones, and understand the underlying reason that may not be very obvious, and we advise the business accordingly. And of course, I always say that if you're in HR, you can never be a stranger to event management. So there is a lot of that as well. Because I do believe that, of course, your finances, your technology resources are very, very important, right? But it's your human capital. And if they're not happy, if they don't feel recognized, right? If they're unclear about the work that they're supposed to do, then your overall goal is it can't really be achieved, right? Change management also is an integral part of what I do. So it's very important as an HR VP to be aware of the company policies and update it, right, on any real-time changes and communicate it to the people. So that's how I feel. And so when I see results that, let's say, a certain client has done really well, or, when my leaders come back to me and give me feedback saying that, it's because of you that, or because of your HR team that, we were able to. So I really feel like I create the most impact there. And just in short, what really keeps me motivated would be that no 2 days are the same for me, to be very frank. We do have like performance appraisal cycles. We do have actions that are periodic, that are seasonal, that happen on a quarterly basis or something. But I think things like conflict resolution, attrition, on the spot event management, that's what keeps it erratic, and I never get bored. So I think that's what keeps me motivated as an HR business partner.
Wonderfully put, Ria. I don't think I would have had half the guts or the gumption to speak what you just spoke at your age. I think you've gone far ahead of many of us in terms of how you carry yourself and what you just mentioned. I think some of them are very critical, but very clear words. You spoke about strategy. You spoke about maintaining a very fine balance between the people managing the businesses. I think that's where diplomacy comes in, and you've kind of picked up from the MUNs how to be diplomatic. While I know people make fun of the HR department quite a lot, I think that's okay. They also are the ones who unfortunately bear the brunt as the frontliners for the company. And you've been just doing great, letting us know what it means. But I think something that you mentioned is very, very critical. The human capital becomes the most important capital in a company. And if you're able to, reduce attrition, have good people, retain good and great people to work with you, I mean, nothing sounds better than that. You spoke about data and analytics, and a very critical phase when it comes to appraisals. Great. Thank you for sharing those inputs, Ria. A lot of young people would like to connect with you. And I would not say just young people, even many people who are much older. Maybe some of us would like to connect with you and understand how do you strategize so well and manage it so well at such a young age. Thank you, Ria, for that input. All right, let me come to Partha. Partha, AI today has become so critical, so important. Is just become another part of us, right? At the same time, there's a lot of fear amongst people. So I'll not come to the fear mongering of what happens if AI goes wrong, goes into self-destruct mode, cannibalizes. All of those words are used for AI, right? My question to you would be what a young student would want to know. What excites you about this specific field of AI? We cannot do without it anymore, right? And we are already using it at large scale. But we do not know how the future would be. We can only think about it. What problems do you enjoy solving with the help of AI? If you could help us to understand that.
So is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is, Parth. Go ahead.
Yeah, so currently about my role is that at my company, I work under the credit ML part. So the basic idea is that when people come for loan towards a company, we basically calculate risk scores according and build models on that. And on the basis of those models, then we analyze whether to give the loans or not. So there are basically three aspects. One is risk measurement, the other is an underwriting part, and the other is an decision making. So these three come currently under my role at the current stage. Other than this, the things that really excite me about working in AI is that building things. The main advantage that AI is getting nowadays is that the things which we used to do, like which used to take like for days, are getting done in minutes. So doing it fast is the reason why AI is getting the boom. Even in one of the papers which I published, so in that, what we did is that a microstructure is basically a material which you see at a zoom of suppose 50x or something. So when that microstructure gets deformed into, and we get some stress plots. So for getting those stress diagrams, it takes around like 40 hours or 50 hours to get those diagrams. But what happened is that when we made synthetic data set and generated the results using a model, we could achieve the similar results in almost like 10-15 seconds, because model inferencing doesn't take a lot of time. So that reduces drastically the time required to perform experiments and you're building production systems. So that's the major aspect which makes me excited working in here. Other than this, there are other projects like building recommendation system which are specific to users. So that itself is a different topic.
Great. Parth, I think what you just spoke is you kind of, I think, just distilled it down. What would be reams of pages or data if anyone wants to put those things in the form of a request or a question, right? I know it's not easy for you to distill it down to the content that you just spoke, but what I understand is that your keenness in continuing with technology, AI especially, and technology is all about speed, and that's one reason why we depend on technology, because it makes you it the tat is quick. You can really close things at a much faster pace, and that's what technology is all about, if it was not about speed. Thank you for explaining that. Young ones who are listening to us, watching us, can reach out to Parth at a later point of time, but there are some questions that's come to you, Parth. On the YouTube chat, I can see we have wishes for you from your principal, ma'am. Parth, your principal has wished you, and she has fond remembrances of you, as she now just mentioned. And she says she's so proud of you. And they also say the team and IBM wishes you the best for your future endeavors. And we shall pass on your regards to Mr. Nitin. Keep shining. Warm regards, Aruna Jiri, the current principal at VIBGYOR and IBM. That's great to know. Now, I'll quickly move on a question that I have for Ria. Ria, this is from our chat. It asks you a question: what skills are required to work in HR? I want to build my career as an HR. This is a question from a student, but there is very less information online, or there is too much information, which I understand is confusing. So, Ria, very crisp, if you could share your inputs. Yeah.
So, thank you for that question. I would say first and foremost, MS Excel. It's if your college offers that as a course, intermediate or even an advanced course, it's very important, because any form of HR, right? You will be working with a lot of data. So one would be to just get your basics right, because that'll really save you a lot of time. I learned that the hard way. The second thing would be if you can work well with people. And I would say that not necessarily if you're very extroverted or a people person, I would say if you can manage different stakeholders, right? Because there will be times where you do have to manage different kinds of grievances. So you really need to have a very strong exterior, and I would say the ability to detach. Most of it, I'll be very frank, is learning on the job, because you pick it up, talent, everything. You can't really prepare for that, because it's most, at least the HR VP role is how you learn it on the job, in short. The last thing I would say is storytelling, right? And I think that really goes even beyond HR, which is when you're given a certain data set, how well are you able to analyze it, make sense of it, and present it to your leadership team in a story, and come up with your own solutions, right? So storytelling, research, I think that goes across fields, but that would be, yeah, that those are the skills. If you have them, then everything else is you learn on the job.
So for the young student who asked Ria this question, she's got just only 2 or 3 minutes, and therefore she's put it so succinctly as to what it is all about. There's a lot more, but I believe there'll be many who would want to be coached by Ria for the splendid words of wisdom that she speaks. Thank you, Ria. Vedant, the next is you. We have a question for you, and I think the question is all about how did you manage studying for CA alongside your college degree? I think that seems to be a little too much for one person to handle, but you did that. So that's the question. Could you please go ahead?
So that is more flattering than it actually sounds. But so I was very strategic in the choices that I made when it came to my CA degree. I chose BCom as my graduation degree because a lot of the syllabus sort of overlaps with what I study in CA to a large extent. And BCom is sort of like a toned down version of what you would study in CA in a lot of detail. And I think that was where I got that edge where I did not have to invest a lot of time studying for my uh, graduation degree while simultaneously having a lot of time to focus on CA. Having said that, it's a part of the process. I think everyone who does their CA goes through similar timelines, similar pressure, academic pressure, and it's it's about time management and being strategic in the decisions that you make.
Great. Thank you, Vedant. I think it becomes very critical. You mentioned about strategy, you mentioned about time management, and I would only add to it being very involved in what you wish to pursue. So you do not, you use every bit of time that comes your way for a greater future that you plan for yourself. So for the young ones who asked that question, that's the answer. I have a very interesting, input. He writes, Hi, I'm a 13-year-old from VIBGYOR and deeply interested in entrepreneurship. And I ran more than 2 ventures, even pitched to XLRI. I think that's the college that Ria studied from, and wrote more than 12 books on Amazon. How do I get an exposure? Now, that's a lot from a 13-year-old. I really wish to connect with the student going forward. But any of you, if you wish to answer this, the question is, I mean, I've done so much. I'm not being recognized. How do I get recognized for the efforts that I'm putting in? And I think it's a very genuine request. So uh, any of you can go ahead, please.
I'm happy to
I'll
take that
probably
on.
start. Okay, go ahead, Vedant. I'll go after you.
So I'll keep it very short from my experience. I think the student is more accomplished than I think all of us combined at this point. Uh, but it's a very genuine question. I think, as a 13-year-old, first step would be to build some credibility. I think, that comes with certain time that you once spend in your education and two, that you grow in the industry. Uh, Keep building. I think that it's a process. It's not, a one-stop goal that you have. So keep building, build credibility, and I think it generally comes over time. There are a lot of labs that you can be a part of, and a lot of seed funding that family offices give out. If that's what you're looking for, uh, I can I can connect with you personally and share names of few family offices that give out seed funding. But yeah, building credibility, good storytelling, and putting in the time, keep building. And yeah, hopefully I can do a merger and acquisition for you sometime soon.
Ria, you can go ahead and then we'll sum that question up. Yeah, please.
Oh. When I had when I done my postgrad, it was actually sponsored by the company. So the process through which I had got this opportunity actually varies greatly from directly applying. Right. So because the opportunity that I had done ensured that I studied at the same time that I worked. So I would suggest that, but I do know a lot of people. When I did graduate from there, I did speak to a couple of people there doing other kinds of degrees as well. I would say just practice a lot of papers. They also said that it's good to watch a lot of YouTube videos. There's so many YouTubers out there, and they're not just one particular college, right? There are many people who would give you a lot of good tips and tricks, right? Especially for GK questions, brush up on your basics, right? And I think you should, and don't be too displeased in case, because when one door closes, another will definitely open. So don't feel rejected at any point of time.
Thank you, Ria. I think that's very encouraging and Vedant for the young 13-year-old to hear from you. And we know that we can go the farthest to the moon and back possible with human. We have no limitations. So to the young 13-year-old, even the sky is not the limit. Continue to pursue and hold on to those words that were spoken, that it's a process. There is some amount of credibility that will be needed. And Vedant, who's involved in mergers and acquisitions, is ready to help you. I'm not saying financially, but guide you. So great. Thank you, both of you. Parth, this is a question that comes to you. And it's a very keen student. I think it's Sharayu Bhosle from Hello Path. This is Sachi from VIBGYOR in Pune, VIBGYOR Rise in Pune. My question is for Parth. What was the path you took, or what were the preparation or steps you took to end up at as an IITian, and of course to take up AI. So somebody is very interested. If you could guide that student very quickly as to how did you finally land up and be an IITian.
So the thing is that for 2 years, I still remember in 11th and 12th, you need to be very uh, have a proper schedule, like when to study, when to take rest, and after for properly like having a schedule, you need to solve papers regularly for the JEE exam. So that is the key important thing for the IIT path. Other than that, in AI, I would say that nowadays I can see that a lot of papers are getting published even in in a small time frame. So there's a lot of content available on the internet. Even in my time, I remember that the Medium articles which are present about with the various models, how they work, even that those are written in very easy to understand language, and anyone can understand those by reading it. So basically, reading blogs and going through YouTube videos is a really good way to uh, get a great understanding about AI nowadays. Because you can find every second or third video on YouTube about AI nowadays. So you will get really good teachers over there.
So what I understand, Parth, is you're speaking about consistency. And as I mentioned before, one needs to be very deeply involved if they have a goal in sight and work towards it. You cannot achieve it without hard work, and there is no way, there is no substitute for hard work to everybody who's listening. And I would suggest, and I would recommend young students who listening to us, start thinking about your careers as early as grade 9. You have 4 years to work on them, and then those 2 final years, and when you're in 11th and 12th, that'll set the trajectory on which you should be finally, I wouldn't say spiraling, but to get going, to finally land the kind of degree that you wish to take, the path that you wish to pursue. So start planning early, very important. And if you don't plan, then we plan to fail, as it's usually said. Parth also mentioned about solving test papers, which becomes very critical because you have very less time to hit those right targets while you're doing your examinations, especially as you're preparing for JEE, for example. Okay, I have another question. There are some questions on what are some building some activities that would be practical and useful to gain experience and connections. So I think, if I'm not wrong, it could be about networking. That becomes one critical word, as they say. Your network is your net worth in many a times. So the three of you, you can go ahead and let us know, but please keep it short. Some activities that could help you to connect and to have those right connections. Ria, Vedant, Partha, any of you?
Sure. I think it begins from where you are right now. So your classmates today become your network tomorrow. I think that's something that's always worked out for me. And in addition to expanding, sort of your probability of getting lucky, you want to know as many people. And I think Rhea mentioned very well that the Model United conferences go for these competitions and the school events where you get to know people, stay in touch with them, whatever you guys are using, Instagram, Facebook, whatever the medium is, keep in touch with people. But the biggest chance of success you're getting is through your classmates right now, and stay close to them.
Well said. Ria, do you have a word of advice? Parth?
I would also say that, again, it depends on, so another place is university fairs that happen, especially if you are trying to get into a college abroad. That's also a great place to meet new people. I would also say alumni connects, in-person school alumni connects. I'd in fact gone back to VIBGYOR last year, and I reconnected with so many people who I didn't. You don't have time to really do it beyond your class, right? That's a wonderful, amazing place because the people in different walks of life. So I would just add those two to Vedant's list. Yeah.
Parth, you got something to share?
Yeah, just that you should be involved in some extracurricular activities, and through that you make a lot of connections. Same for in college as well as school. So as rightly mentioned by both.
Well said. I think do not forget your friends that you made in school. I'm telling you, they'll come in very handy. Even after you've gone into your jobs, start working, you never know when a connection emerges. So don't just throw them away. 12th is 11th, 10th and 12th is not the end of your life with your friends. It's only the beginning. My recommendation is we've joined hands with Univariety, and we have so many programs that are now coming up for the alumni, not just for the ones who are studying in our schools currently, but also even after you become an alumni. And once you enroll for the programs that we are offering, you would be able to connect with so many of the alumni across the world. We have more than 21,000 of them, all across the world. We have a huge list, and they are there to help and assist. So that's my suggestion for people who would wish to, stay connected and find the right connections. Vedant, there is another question for you. And the question is, what emerging trends or opportunities should students be aware of, especially in the financial realm? That's the question.
Well, I think everything that's honestly such a big question. I could speak on it for hours, but to be succinct, one is to stay up to date with everything that's going on in the world, right? With the oil prices, and you just want to be aware to make better informed decisions. But in terms of trend, I think Partha has a big hand in this. AI is taking up all fields, and finance is definitely one of those. But what becomes increasingly important in today's world within finance is one, critical thinking. That's something that I don't think AI can replace. And two is communication and storytelling that gives the human touch to all fields, all professional fields out there. So focus on these two. I think this just comes with a lot of reading, reasoning, and talking to a lot of people. So if there's one skill you want to develop, it's got to be one of these.
Nice. Well put. Ria, I think there are many who are keen on knowing how did you get a sponsor? How did you get a sponsored, or how did the company sponsor you at one of the best management institutes in this country, that is to XLRI? That's the question. I mean, everybody would be happy to to have a sponsored seat, right? So that's the question to you. Could you help us understand how did you manage that?
Sure. So I got my job through campus placement at Christ. And I think what I had to do is I had an interview. I had two rounds of interviews. And of course, there was a practical test. Right. So I think I wouldn't be too sure about the program in terms of people who are already employees at the company. But it was kind of a package deal when I got the offer at Accenture itself. So it's not that I'd applied for it differently. Like I said, it was just a package deal. So it really depends on whether the company comes to certain colleges with that opportunity. I think you're
Sorry,
on
sir. I
mute,
think
sir.
you're on mute, sir.
I'm sorry. I think one question that's come up, Ria, again, based on what you did mention some time back, and also somebody, and we spoke about, connections, networking, and everything. Uh, uh, they are keen on knowing what is that one specific skill that we must have while we are in a working environment in a corporate space that needs to be developed even as you continue to study in school and evolve into for an undergrad program, but that comes in very handy while you're in the corporate space.
Oh. I would say relearning, the ability to unlearn and relearn. Because in my whatever experience that I've had so far in my 2+ years, right, I think there have been times where I've had to just unlearn whatever knowledge I had about HR as a subject from college and understand that the situation on ground is completely different. So if you have that as a soft skill to be able to update yourself, read about what are the new, to stay relevant, basically, I think that's really, really important. The other thing I would say would be to be able to keep calm under pressure. I think that's very, very important, given this time and how dynamic the world is out there.
That's a very difficult thing to do, but I guess that's what will also help you win over. Stay calm under pressure. Another question that people in general also, I think that's getting asked is also right now, Ria, to you is, I have pursued liberal arts or humanities. Now I wish to take up a career in HR. What should I do? That's the question. How can I find a career in HR even after having done my humanities?
Sure. So I think if you take a regular BBA course, Bachelor's of Business Administration, or a BBA honors course, you should be able to, because I do know people who've also taken psychology, right, who've still managed to get into HR. Again, different parts of HR do involve understanding how people behave, right? So organizational behavior, all of that comes into play. But I would say the best, I mean, the most generic degree to take would be a BBA or a BBA honors. Yeah.
Okay. Parth, somewhere down the line, there was this question while you did mention about, about landing in IIT, which was hard work in itself. But the obvious question also was, what is it that made you pivot towards machine learning and technology? What sparked your interest? And today it's spoken about a lot, AI and machine learning technology. People want to know what is it that significantly affected your interest or decision to take up ML and technology.
So I have always liked about working with data. So data is something which is the without which ML can't exist itself. So working with data is a tedious job, and getting to know an analysis on that data further, learning about various things. Further, I've done several projects under various professors who were in this field. So they were also major. They have also played a major role in shaping my interest towards AI. Other than this, I'd also added that the blogs which are coming nowadays are really interesting to read. How AI is shaping various industries. So after reading those kind of blogs, I was kind of sure that I have to try this field.
Interesting. I think in this world of digital, immersive experiences, we do forget the importance to read. And you did mention, and I would advise this to our young students who are watching us, do not give up on reading. It'll keep you informed. You may get into the digital space for content, which is fine, fair. But unless you don't keep yourself abreast by reading good journals, blogs, I don't think you'll be informed appropriately for decisions that might affect your careers, right? So well said, Partha. Thank you for that. But there's another question. I think this may be the last question that we may be able to manage. We're running short of time. And I think the last question comes to Parth again. What kind of projects should students try if they want to build a strong tech profile, especially AI is that golden word. So what kind of profile what should they do to build that beautiful profile?
So I would say start with the simple projects and then build yourself to know just the basics. You need to know the basic projects as well. So I still remember my first project which I worked was a simple classification of a dog or a cat from an image using a model. So to learn the basics, you need to work on simple projects first, and after that go towards the complex ones like building a chatbot or which are prevalent nowadays in Gen AI. So start with small, then go to big. That's the kind of approach I would suggest.
And I think that's the right approach too. Start small, dream big, continue to build on that even as you gain from experience when you start building them. Well, I think that was a very interesting discussion that we had at the Career Mirror 2.0 on this special day and the special occasion. We have a lot many questions. Maybe we'll take those questions separately and share them with all of you so you could share with us your feedback. But I really want to appreciate this evening. And before we close, I will call upon our cluster principal from Bengaluru for our South schools, Ms. Maria Joy, to extend the word of thanks for this beautiful evening. Maria.
Thank you, Shim sir. A very good evening to everyone. As we come to the close of the Career Mirror 2.0, it is my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks. I would like to begin by expressing our sincere gratitude to our alumni speakers, Vedant, Rhea, and Parth, for sharing their journeys, insights, and honest perspectives. Your experiences have truly inspired and provided valuable direction to our students. My thanks also to Mr. Shim Mathew for moderating today's session and guiding this meaningful conversation so effectively. We are grateful to Univariety, our valued partner, for enabling such impactful interactions and strengthening the bridge between our students and alumni network. A special note of thanks to all our principals, faculty members, parents for continued support in making initiatives like this successful. And most importantly, to our dear students, thank you for your enthusiastic participation. We hope this session has given you clarity, confidence, and motivation as you plan your future. Wishing you all the very best ahead. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Ms. Maria, for that beautiful thank you note for each one of us. And guys, I just want to tell you all, it was such a great evening to spend time with you all. As I always mention, whenever you're in Bombay, please come over for a cup of coffee or lunch or dinner. Most welcome, our alumni to Mumbai, right? But before we wrap up, I call upon Shiny from Univariety, who will let the alumni or people who are watching us understand how to stay connected. So Shiny, please share your thoughts.
Great. Thank you so much, Shim sir. And I wanted to thank all three alumni. It was wonderful to hear from all three of you. I think the learnings was not just for students and parents those who are attending this across the country, as Shim sir mentioned. It has been a learning to all of us, those who are attending here, teachers and principals. Thank you so much for that. And I would like to thank Shim sir for the opportunity for us to do this session, and we look forward to doing more such sessions. And for all the students, we are looking forward to connecting with you all. You will have an opportunity to speak with not just Parth, Vedant, and Rhea. There's so many others from your respective own campuses, and the opportunity to connect with all across VIBGYOR group through the Univariety portal. So we will be meeting you all soon on that. Thank you so much once again, everybody, for this opportunity. Have a great day.
Thank you and bye-bye.